The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry will be heavy on the presentation this week. They, in partnership with Joy Business, the Bank of Africa, KPMG and other stakeholders, will on Wednesday hold a virtual seminar on the budget, exploring the prospects for recovery, resilience and competitiveness for the private sector. The president of the chamber, Clement Osei Amoako, joins us via Zoom for more on this. Mr. Amoako, we're so grateful that you joined us. Let's start by getting your views on the highlights of the budget. What stood out for the chamber? Do we have the president on? If you could kindly unmute your microphone as I beg the question once again. I believe you listened to the budgets, and naturally there are specific highlights of the budget that stood out for the chamber. If you could share some of these highlights with us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity given us, and greetings to your esteemed listeners. Today we are here to discuss the budget, and going to have another meeting on Wednesday to look at the effect on the budget on the entire economy. There were some highlights on some benefits that we can get as private sector, and some other taxes that is inherent that have been added to it. We are looking at a situation where the government starts spending, looking at the revenue that they have and how they are going to spend over a specific year, and for that matter, this year. The government constitutes the largest spending of the economy. So as entity, as individual, everybody have to know how the direction of the government in order to be able to adjust ourselves into the budget and look at areas that are fresh in our mind, areas that we have a lot of advantage so that we can harness into that. Now we were hit by some levies on some new taxes that have been brought up for discussion, and some were also some incentives that have been given to some entities in order for them to move very well. So among the new tax that have been brought into being were the sanitation tax and pollution levy. And I see this pollution levy as a tax that is going to create more cost to consumer. But what am I saying? We cannot live in a situation where the entire economy is filthy and we cannot clean up the mess. The sanitation and pollution levy mostly has come out as a result of this water sachet and other polythene bags that we have to display and give it out to our people, which is also choking up the entire filth area. Now, what I foresee is that if we have this levy, then the government will have to use it in such a way that we can clean up the mess in the country. What I'm seeing that will be beneficial to us is that looking at the sachet bottles, rubber that is being spilled out over the country, I'm looking at a situation where the government can take this levy and have every household some water in the bottle in such a way that every household would do away with this sachet that is filtered all over the country. And so that after they have consumed the water, they have the bottles to send to the supermarket where they will be paid for some money, and they pay for the real cost of water.
Great. So the chamber is therefore calling for some management of our sanitation regime in the country. But of course, we do know that on Wednesday, Mr. President, we're going to be having a seminar to discuss the budget proper. If you could help us understand the key aspects of the budget that you'll be exploring during this seminar.
Okay, what we are looking at is the government fiscal policy, and that has to be the tax that have been levied on consumer goods and services, some import tax and some export tax. We expect that an economy like this that we have gone through the COVID, that the government would come out with a tax regime where it will not be contractional. In a situation where we have a tax regime when we are with the government, the economy is not doing well. And you saw the GDP growth for last year was not encouraging because of the COVID. We expect that most of the tax should have not been contractionary, but that the government would have opened up a lot of, giving a lot of tax waivers. Okay. But the government also needs to spend on some key products and services that we cannot, all that he depends on will be the tax revenue that he gets. And so we are not too much bothered with the tax that have been levied on, but on some specific ones that probably we would want to talk about.
All right.
We also want to look at how the government is going to spend its money. As individuals, and for that matter, a private sector, when we look at the spending of the government, it will help us also to adjust ourselves into some of the areas that are opportune. So we are looking at both ones. And we also look at the monetary policy that has to come in with the central bank.
All right.
What the central bank is also doing to augment the government efforts for the budget for this year.
All right.
These are the key areas we are trying to look at.
All right.
We will advise members, and for that matter, the entire country, to look at areas where there are opportunities to also take advantage of that.
All right, Mr. Clement Osei-Amoako, we're so grateful that you joined us. He's the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry ahead of this seminar on Wednesday.